Imagine holding a single $100 bill in your hand. It feels fragile, almost insignificant, like a paper boat floating on the surface of a vast ocean. And yet, for countless traders, that bill is the first ticket they ever buy into the stormy world of financial markets. At first, the dream is intoxicating. You picture doubling, tripling, even quitting your job to live off trades. But then reality strikes. Within days, that fragile boat capsizes. The waves of greed and fear tear it apart, and you're left gasping in disbelief. How could such a small piece of paper lead you into such deep water? Welcome to Trading Psychology Stick, where we explore the mental game behind every trade. Quick reminder that this isn't financial advice, just hard-earned lessons from years in the markets. I know that feeling of loss because I lived it. My very first trading account was no larger than $100, and I burned through it faster than I ever imagined. Not because the market was cruel, but because I was unprepared. I sailed into the storm with no map, no compass, no understanding of the sea I had chosen to cross. Years later, after countless mistakes and eventually building a six-figure account, I realized something profound. If I had to start all over again with just $100, I wouldn't treat it as money. I would treat it as my vessel. A small ship not meant to get me rich, but to teach me how to survive. But here's what nobody warns you about. The market's cruelest trick isn't taking your money. It's giving you some first, making you believe you're special. Then, when your guard is down, when you've told everyone about your trading genius, that's when the real education begins. This is the story I want to tell you. A 12-chapter voyage through the storms and calms of trading. Each stage is a wave you must ride, a lesson you must embody, a transformation you cannot skip. Because here's the counterintuitive truth. Trading is not about multiplying dollars. It's about multiplying discipline, awareness, and the strength to endure. So, picture yourself as the captain of a fragile vessel, setting sail with just $100 in the cargo hold. Ahead lies a sea of temptation, storms of emotion, islands of knowledge, and reefs of ruin. But if you steer with wisdom, if you learn to read the tides and command yourself, that tiny boat may carry you farther than you ever dreamed. This is your Odyssey, the $100 Voyage. Chapter 1. The Reality of Small Accounts. The first time you fund your trading account with $100, you feel a strange mixture of pride and fear. Pride because you've finally taken action, fear because you know, deep down, this sum could vanish in a heartbeat. But here's what nobody tells you. That 100 is not your wealth. It is your training ground. Think of it as tuition to the world's most expensive university, where every lesson is paid in both dollars and emotions. Most beginners make the same mistake. They imagine their small account is a rocket ship to the moon. Remember the GameStop frenzy? Thousands of new traders threw their stimulus checks into the market, convinced they'd found the secret. They pictured Lamborghinis, early retirement, screenshots worthy of Reddit fame. And then, within days, sometimes hours, their accounts evaporated. Not because Wall Street conspired against them, but because they mistook gambling for trading. Let me paint you a different picture. Your $100 is like a flight simulator for pilots. Nobody expects to transport passengers on their first day in the cockpit. They expect to crash repeatedly, safely, until muscle memory replaces panic. In trading, this means observing the market without rushing in. Watch how Bitcoin pumps at 2 a.m. when Asia wakes up. Notice how gold reacts to Federal Reserve speeches. See how the S&P 500 gaps up on earnings, then fades by lunch. When I started, I thought I was special because I correctly predicted Apple would go up before an iPhone launch. I made $12 and immediately texted my friend that I think I have a gift for this. The market heard my arrogance and responded accordingly. The next day I was down $30 on a Tesla trade I couldn't lose. My gift turned into tuition fees real quick. I remember sitting in a Starbucks, laptop open, trying to look like a serious trader, while my account showed $67 remaining from my original 100. The barista asked what I was working on. Financial markets, I said, trying to sound professional. She glanced at my screen showing a massive red candle and said, "Rough day?" That's when I realized everyone starts somewhere, and starting small isn't shameful. It's smart. Survival begins with respect. A pilot who respects gravity learns to work with it, not against it. In trading, this means accepting a simple truth. The market has been here longer than you. It will be here after you. It doesn't care about your rent money, your dreams, or your elaborate theories about why this time is different. If you've already blown your first account, type tuition paid in the comments. No shame, just acknowledgement. Because what comes next is where the real education begins. Your $100 is the price of admission, not the price of success. It's your fee to stand at the edge of the pool, to dip your toe in, to whisper to yourself, okay, let's see what this is really about. The market doesn't reveal its secrets to those who demand instant riches. It reveals them to those who listen patiently. And as you lean over the edge, watching your small account bob on the surface of infinite possibility, you realize the real journey has just begun. Chapter 2. The Sweet Wind of First Wins. Every trader remembers their first winning streak. It feels like discovering fire. You place a trade, maybe it's pure luck, maybe Mercury is in retrograde, and somehow that helps, and suddenly your account shows green. $10 becomes 15. 15 becomes 25. You start whispering to yourself, I knew it. This is easy. I'm naturally good at this. That first win doesn't just move your account up. It inflates something far more dangerous, your ego. And an inflated ego in trading is like sailing with a hole in your boat that you refuse to see. During the crypto boom of 2021, I watched a college student turn $200 into $8,000 in 3 weeks trading Dogecoin. He posted his gains online, called himself the Doge Whisperer, even started a Discord channel to teach others. He quit his part-time job, convinced he'd cracked the code. Then Elon Musk appeared on Saturday Night Live. Dogecoin crashed, and our Doge Whisperer lost everything in 48 hours. Not just the 8,000, he'd borrowed another 5,000, certain the dip was temporary. The sweet wind of illusion whispers beautiful lies. Every win proves you're gifted. Risk management is for cowards. Doubling your position size is the smart move because you're on a hot streak. It's the same voice that tells lottery winners to quit their jobs after one ticket. I learned this lesson the expensive way. After a few lucky trades on oil futures during the pandemic volatility, I developed what I call profit syndrome. I started predicting market moves to anyone who'd listen. Silver is definitely going up tomorrow, I'd say with the confidence of someone who'd been trading for years, not weeks. When I was right, I'd screenshot it. When I was wrong, must be manipulation, unusual market conditions, anything but my own ignorance. Here's the uncomfortable truth that will save you thousands. The market has seen millions of traders like you. Your patterns aren't unique. Your mistakes aren't original. Your confidence after 3 wins in a row, the market has a name for that: fresh meat. To resist this wind, you need an anchor. Write this down, seriously, pause the video, and write it. My first wins are not proof of genius. They are proof of danger. Because when you mistake luck for skill, you stop learning. And when you stop learning in the markets, you start losing. Have you ever felt invincible after a winning trade, only to give it all back the next day? If yes, comment humbled below. You're not alone, and recognizing this pattern is the first step to breaking it. The vulnerability you show by admitting this publicly is actually strength. It means you're ready to face reality instead of living in illusion. Think about professional traders at investment banks. They don't celebrate when they make money. They analyze why they made it. Was it the strategy or the market conditions? Was it repeatable or random? They treat wins with the same scrutiny as losses because they know the sweet wind of illusion has destroyed more careers than any bear market. The market is patient. It lets you win just enough to believe you've mastered it. Then, when your guard is down, when you've increased your position size because this one can't lose, that's when the storm arrives. And brother, sister, fellow trader, that storm doesn't knock. It kicks down the door. Chapter 3. The First Storm, when reality hits. No trader forgets their first real loss. Not the small ones you can laugh off. I'm talking about the loss that makes you stare at the screen in disbelief. The loss that makes you refresh the page thinking it must be a glitch. The loss that turns your confident smile into a sick feeling in your stomach. The first storm doesn't just take your money. It takes your innocence. One moment you're riding high on beginner's luck. The next moment, your $100 account is down to 30. Or worse, it's completely gone. 6 clicks, one over-leveraged trade, and the dream that felt inevitable shatters like dropped glass. Let me tell you about a night I'll never forget. I had entered a EUR-USD trade with absolute certainty. Every indicator aligned. My technical analysis was textbook perfect. The trade moved against me immediately. Just a pullback, I told myself. Down $10. It'll reverse, down 20. The market is wrong, not me, down 40. By 3 a.m., I was Googling how to recover blown trading account, with tears of frustration in my eyes. But here's what happened next that changed everything. I found a forum post from a trader who'd blown 17 accounts before becoming profitable. 17. He wrote that the market didn't beat you, your emotions did. And emotions don't learn from experience. They just wait for the next opportunity to destroy you. After my first big loss, I tried explaining to my girlfriend why I was upset about losing $50. She said, "That's like a nice dinner." I replied, "No, you don't understand. It was a perfect setup." She looked at me and said, "So was the Titanic." The storm reveals your true character. Some traders quit immediately, bitter, blaming everything except themselves. They become the people in comment sections, warning others that trading is a scam or the market is rigged. But others, maybe 5%, do something different. They sit quietly with their failure. They analyze what went wrong. They realize the storm wasn't the enemy. Their own lack of preparation was. Professional traders have a saying, "You're not a real trader until you've blown at least one account." It's not a badge of honor. It's recognition that everyone needs their ego shattered before they can rebuild properly. Like a boxer who needs to be knocked down to learn to protect their chin. Still with me? Type Captain if you're ready for what comes next. Not just to engage with the video, but to declare to yourself that you're willing to weather the storms ahead. Because surviving your first storm doesn't make you profitable. It makes you real. After my first storm, I made a simple promise. I would paper trade for 30 days. No real money, just practice. It was humbling, like a Formula One driver going back to go-karts. But in those 30 days of zero risk, I learned more about my emotional patterns than in all my winning trades combined. Chapter 4. Learning the market's language. Every market has its own dialect. Forex whispers in pips. Stocks shout in gaps. Crypto screams 24/7 like a caffeinated teenager. But beneath these different voices lies a universal language. The language of human behavior, expressed through price. For 2 weeks, I forced myself to watch charts without placing a single trade. It was torture, like being at a casino where you can only observe. But something magical happened around day 10. I started seeing patterns I'd been blind to before. Not the textbook patterns everyone knows. I mean, the living, breathing rhythm of the market. Here's what I noticed. Every morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, the stock market would stretch like it was waking up. Sometimes a big stretch up, sometimes down, but always movement. By 3 p.m., when institutional traders positioned for close, volume would surge like a tide coming in. Friday afternoons, the market would quiet down like a tired office before the weekend. Let me tell you about candlesticks differently than any textbook. Imagine each candle as a conversation. A long green candle, that's buyers shouting, "We're in control." A long upper wick, that's sellers responding, "Not so fast." A doji, where open and close are almost equal. That's the market saying, "We need to think about this." Once you see candles as conversations instead of just shapes, the chart becomes a transcript of mass psychology. The market has memory, but it's short-term. Support and resistance levels aren't magic. They're just prices where lots of people have strong memories. I lost money here before, or I should have sold here last time. These collective memories create invisible walls that prices bounce off until enough force breaks through and creates new memories. Here's a simple exercise. Pick any chart, any time frame, find the last 5 times price reversed sharply, mark those levels. Now, watch for a week without trading. See how often price reacts at those exact spots. It's not mystical, it's psychological. Traders remember pain and pleasure, and they act accordingly. Learning to read the market is like learning to read weather as a sailor. You don't need to predict exactly when it will rain. You just need to recognize when clouds are gathering, when wind is shifting, when to reef your sails, and when to run full canvas. The sea doesn't speak English, but it speaks clearly to those who learn its language. Professional traders read these patterns like archaeologists read fossils. Each level tells a story of past battles between buyers and sellers. When price approaches these levels again, it's like returning to an old battlefield. The ghosts of previous trades still linger. There's a beautiful quote from a hedge fund manager I met. "I don't need to know where the market is going. I just need to know what I'll do when it gets there." That's fluency in the language of markets. Not prophecy, but preparedness. Next time you open a chart, spend 5 minutes just observing without analyzing. No indicators, no predictions, just watching. Like sitting by a river, observing the current. Then comment below with one thing you notice that you usually miss when you're hunting for trades. This practice of pure observation is how you develop true market intuition. Chapter 5. Patching your psychology. When a storm tears through your account and cracks your confidence, you face a crossroads. Most traders quit here, deleting their apps, swearing off markets forever. But the few who continue discover something profound. Rebuilding after failure is more valuable than succeeding without struggle. Survival begins with a mindset shift. After my first blown account, I realized I'd been playing the wrong game entirely. I was trying to predict the future when I should have been managing the present. It's like trying to forecast weather instead of simply carrying an umbrella. Here's what I did differently. I funded a new account with just $50, half of what I started with. This wasn't about being cheap. It was about proving I could follow rules when the stakes were so small that breaking them would only hurt my pride, not my wallet. My new approach was almost boring. Risk only $1 per trade. Take only 2 trades per day. Stop trading after any loss, regardless of how perfect the next setup looked. Write everything down, especially the feelings. The urge to revenge trade, the temptation to increase size, the voice saying just this once. I once had a rule that if I felt angry after a loss, I had to do 20 push-ups before opening another trade. Not as punishment, but as a circuit breaker. One day, I lost 3 trades in a row. By the time I finished 60 push-ups, I was too tired to revenge trade. My anger had turned into sore arms and a strange sense of accomplishment. That day, push-ups saved my account. The most powerful lesson came from an unexpected place. I was reading about Navy SEAL training, specifically their pool competency test. Instructors attack trainees underwater, tangling their air hoses, stealing their masks, creating chaos. The only way to pass? Stay calm, follow procedure, solve one problem at a time. Panic equals failure. Sound familiar? Trading is the same test, just with money instead of oxygen. The market will tangle your analysis, steal your confidence, create chaos in your account. Your survival depends not on fighting back, but on following procedure. Stop loss hit, exit calmly. Daily loss limit reached, close the platform, feeling emotional, step away. The art of survival isn't sexy. Nobody posts screenshots of properly managed losses. Nobody brags about the trades they didn't take. But these invisible victories are what separate survivors from statistics. It's like being proud of not texting your ex at 2 a.m. The real win is in what you didn't do. I started treating my $50 account like it was 50 million. I'd calculate risk percentages to the decimal point. I'd write trade plans as if regulators were watching. I even dressed up for my trading sessions, sitting at my desk in a button-down shirt to trade amounts smaller than a coffee costs. My roommate thought I'd lost it. Maybe I had. But that insanity taught me discipline. Think about your worst trading habit. Is it moving stop losses, overtrading, revenge trading? Whatever it is, comment one word below that describes it. Just one word. Acknowledging it publicly is the first step to defeating it. That vulnerability becomes your strength. Chapter 6. The Journal Mirror. Every trader I know who survived their first year kept a journal. Every trader I know who blew up their account didn't. This isn't correlation, it's causation. Because without a written record, your mind becomes your enemy, rewriting history to protect your ego. When I first started journaling trades, I thought I was wasting time. The market was moving. Opportunities were passing. Why write when I could be trading? Then I reviewed my first month's journal and discovered something shocking. My memory was completely wrong. Trades I remembered as barely missing profit were actually nowhere close. Losses I blamed on unusual market conditions were clearly my fault. Wins I attributed to skill were obviously luck. The journal doesn't lie. Your memory does. Every single day. Here's what most people think trade journaling means. Entry price, exit price, profit, or loss. That's not a journal. That's accounting. A real trading journal captures the story behind the numbers. What were you thinking? What were you feeling? What made you break your rules? What made you follow them? Let me show you an actual entry from my journal when I was starting. EUR/USD long at 1.1850. Felt confident because of trendline bounce. Position went against me immediately. Wanted to double down, but didn't have capital. Thank God. Stopped out at -$8. Later saw it would have dropped another 50 pips. Lesson learned. Need to wait for actual bounce, not anticipate it. Also realized I trade worse when tired. It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep, idiot. That last line, "Go to sleep, idiot," taught me more than any trading book, because I discovered I made 80% of my bad trades after midnight. My journal revealed what no strategy could fix. I wasn't a bad trader. I was a tired trader, trying to force opportunities when my brain was running on fumes. Want to know something unusual? I once discovered through my journal that I lost money every time it rained. Seriously, compared weather data to my trading results. Rainy days equaled red days. Why? Because I was more impulsive when stuck indoors, taking trades out of boredom rather than opportunity. Now I don't trade during storms, not market storms, actual weather storms. Stupid? Maybe. Profitable? Absolutely. The journal also becomes your reality check. We all suffer from what psychologists call hindsight bias. After a trade works, we convince ourselves we knew it would. After it fails, we find reasons why it was obviously doomed. But when you write your reasoning before the trade plays out, you can't fool yourself later. The evidence is right there in your handwriting. Here's a weird benefit nobody mentions. Journaling makes losses less painful, not because writing is therapeutic, though it can be, but because a documented loss becomes data, not drama. It transforms from "I'm an idiot who lost money" to "interesting. This setup has now failed 3 times when volume is low. Let's adjust." Pause here, check your last 3 trades. Were they revenge trades, boredom trades, FOMO trades? Drop your honest answer below. One word that describes your last trading mistake. This moment of truth with yourself is worth more than any indicator. Your journal becomes your personal trading coach. It remembers every mistake so you don't repeat it. It celebrates every disciplined victory, even the tiny ones. It shows you who you really are versus who you think you are. Chapter 7. The 30 Trade Trial. There's a number that separates real traders from gamblers. It's not a profit target or account size. It's 30 trades with consistent rules. 30 trades where discipline matters more than dollars. 30 trades that reveal whether you're building a trading career or just expensive entertainment. Why 30? Because luck runs out. In 5 trades, you can flip coins and look like a genius. In 10 trades, a good streak can mask bad habits. But by 30 trades, patterns emerge that can't hide. Either you're following a process or you're flying blind. The market doesn't care about your excuses. The numbers tell the truth. When I committed to my first 30 trade challenge, I made it simple. Same risk per trade, 1%. Same maximum trades per day, 2. Same rules, no exceptions. The goal wasn't profit, it was process. Could I be boring for 30 trades? Could I resist the urge to go bigger after wins or revenge trade after losses? Trade number 7 almost broke me. Perfect setup on a gold trade, everything aligned, and I wanted to risk 5% instead of 1. Just this once, my brain whispered. This is the one. I sat there for 10 minutes, cursor hovering over the position size, fighting myself. Finally, I entered my standard 1%. The trade lost. Had I gone bigger, it would have damaged not just my account, but my psychology. By trade 15, something shifted. The routine became automatic. Check setup, calculate position size, set stop loss, enter trade, record and journal. No drama, no negotiation, just execution. Like brushing teeth or tying shoes, the market became less exciting and more mechanical. And that's exactly when I started making money. Trade 23 was my biggest test. I'd had 4 losses in a row. My account was down 8%. Everything in me wanted to increase size to make it back faster. Instead, I stopped trading for 3 days. Not because the strategy was broken, but because I was. When I returned for trade 24, calm and centered, it won. So did 25. By trade 30, I was break-even. But I'd won something more valuable than money: trust in myself. Here's what 30 trades teaches you. First, your strategy probably works if you actually follow it. Most strategies have positive expectancy over time. But most traders never find out because they keep changing things, chasing perfection instead of accepting good enough. Second, you discover your real risk tolerance. Everyone thinks they can handle 20% drawdowns until they're in one. The 30 trades show you exactly where your comfort zone ends and panic begins. That knowledge is worth more than any indicator. A friend of mine documented his 30 trade challenge publicly on Twitter. Every trade, win or lose, posted with reasoning and results. The accountability transformed his trading. By trade 30, he had a small profit and dozens of followers asking for his secret. The secret was simply completing 30 trades without breaking rules. Some traders need 3 attempts to complete 30 disciplined trades. They'll get to trade 20, break rules, and have to start over. That's fine. Each attempt builds strength. Like training for a marathon, failure is part of the process, not the end of it. If you're ready to commit to your own 30-trade challenge, type challenge. Accepted below. Not tomorrow, not Monday, not when the perfect setup appears. Your next trade is number 1 of 30. This public commitment creates accountability that private promises never could. The 30 trades separate those who talk about trading from those who actually trade. It's the difference between reading about swimming and getting in the water. Theory becomes practice. Dreams become data. Hope becomes process. Chapter 8. Livermore's Ghost, a cautionary tale. Jesse Livermore made and lost fortunes that would be worth billions today. He predicted the 1929 crash, shorted the entire market, and made $100 million when $1 million meant something. Then he lost it all, multiple times. His story isn't just about trading, it's about the eternal battle between brilliance and discipline. Livermore started with nothing but observation skills. As a teenager, he'd watch price boards and bucket shops, those early 1900s versions of CFD brokers. He noticed patterns others missed, turned $5 into thousands, got banned from every bucket shop in Boston for winning too much. Sounds like the dream start, right? But here's what the success stories don't emphasize. Every fortune Livermore made, he eventually lost. Not because markets changed or strategies failed, because he abandoned his own rules when he felt invincible. He literally wrote a book about trading discipline, then broke every rule in it. The smartest trader of his generation, arguably ever, couldn't control himself when emotions ran high. His most expensive mistake? Trading on tips from others when his whole career was built on independent analysis. Someone would whisper about inside information, and suddenly the man who could read markets like sheet music would abandon his system for gossip. He knew better. He wrote about knowing better, then did it anyway. The saddest part of Livermore's story isn't the lost fortunes. It's his journal entries near the end. He wrote about feeling like 2 different people, the disciplined analyst who knew exactly what to do, and the emotional gambler who did the opposite. Sound familiar? That's because this split personality exists in every trader. There's a specific moment in his biography that haunts me. After losing everything for the 3rd time, a reporter asked how someone so smart could repeat the same mistakes. Livermore replied that the market didn't beat me. My emotions did. And emotions don't learn from experience. They just wait for the next opportunity to destroy you. Our emotional brain, the limbic system, formed millions of years before our logical prefrontal cortex. When stress hits, the ancient brain takes over. That's why you can know intellectually that revenge trading is stupid while simultaneously placing the revenge trade. 2 different systems fighting for control. Every time I'm tempted to break my rules because this time is different or I know better now, I think about Livermore, the greatest trader of his era, dying broke and broken, not from lack of knowledge but from excess of ego. His ghost whispers to every trader who thinks they're special enough to ignore discipline. Chapter 9, The Turtle Wisdom, Discipline Wins. In 1983, Richard Dennis had an argument that changed trading history. His partner believed great traders were born with special instincts. Dennis disagreed. He believed trading could be taught like farming turtles in Singapore, systematically and repeatedly. To prove it, he ran a newspaper ad that basically said, "Want to learn to trade? No experience necessary." From 1,000 applicants, he chose 23 people. They weren't Wall Street wizards or math geniuses. They were regular folks, an actor, a security guard, an accountant, a blackjack dealer. Dennis gave them a simple system, a set of rules, and capital to trade. What happened next became legend. The Turtles, as they were called, made Dennis over $100 million in 4 years. Not through brilliant analysis or insider information, but through robotic adherence to rules. Buy when price breaks above the 20-day high. Sell when it breaks below the 20-day low. Risk no more than 2% per trade. Position size based on volatility. That's basically it. The beautiful simplicity drove some turtles crazy. Curtis Faith, the most successful turtle, wrote about wanting to improve the system, to add indicators, to use discretion. But the rules were clear: follow the system or lose your funding. So he followed, and at 23 years old, made Dennis $31 million. But here's the part nobody talks about. Not all turtles succeeded. Given the exact same rules, same training, same capital, about a third failed. Why? They couldn't follow the rules when it mattered. They'd skip trades after losses, afraid of more pain. They'd reduce position sizes when they should maintain them. They'd exit early when profits looked too good to risk. This experiment proved something profound. Trading success isn't about finding the perfect strategy. It's about finding a good enough strategy and following it perfectly. The Turtles' system was public knowledge within years, yet few could replicate their success. Because the secret wasn't the system, it was the discipline to follow it. The lesson? You don't need genius or special talents. You need rules simple enough to follow under pressure and the character to follow them when it hurts. If that resonates with you, type turtle mode below. This isn't just about trading. It's about accepting that consistency beats brilliance every time. The turtle story gives hope to every small account trader. Ordinary people became millionaire traders not through complexity, but through consistency. Not through prediction, but through process. Not through emotion, but through execution. Chapter 10. Scaling without sinking. After 30 disciplined trades, temptation whispers sweetly. You've proven yourself. Time to scale up. Time to get serious. Time to make real money. This is where most traders self-destruct, not from lack of skill, but from too much ambition too soon. I learned this lesson painfully. After completing my 30-trade challenge, I immediately quadrupled my position size. Same strategy, same rules, just bigger numbers. Within a week, I'd given back 2 months of careful gains. Not because the strategy failed, but because I failed. The psychological weight of larger positions crushed my discipline like a tin can. Here's what nobody explains about scaling. Your mind has a comfort zone measured in dollars, not percentages. You might handle losing 1% of a $1,000 account, $10, without blinking, but lose 1% of a $10,000 account, $100, and suddenly your chest tightens. Same percentage, completely different psychological experience. Professional traders scale like rock climbers approach a cliff, slowly, methodically, testing each hold before committing weight. The formula I learned from a hedge fund trader is beautifully simple. Increase position size by 25%, only after 50 trades at the current size. Not 50 winning trades, just 50 trades following your process. Boring? Absolutely. Sustainable? Absolutely. But here's the counterintuitive part. As your account grows, your percentage risk should often decrease, not increase. When I had $100, risking 2% meant $2. Now, with a larger account, I rarely risk more than 0.5% per trade. Why? Because preserving capital becomes more important than growing it. It's easier to make back 10% than 50%. Math that seems obvious, but emotions make us forget. There's a psychological phenomenon called house money effect. After winning, traders take bigger risks because they're playing with house money, not their money. This mental accounting is financial suicide. Every dollar in your account is your money. The market doesn't care how it got there. Here's a practical exercise. Write down the largest dollar amount you could lose on a single trade without affecting your sleep. Not percentage, actual dollars. That's your real risk tolerance. Now calculate what percentage that represents of your account. If it's less than your current risk per trade, you're over-leveraged psychologically, regardless of what the math says. Another trick from institutional traders. The pay yourself first rule. Every month, withdraw some profits, even if it's just 10% of gains. This accomplishes 2 things. First, it makes profits real. Numbers on a screen become dinner with friends or car payments. Second, it prevents you from risking money you've mentally already spent. Growing as a trader isn't about finding more opportunities or using more leverage. It's about becoming more consistent, more disciplined, more boring. The traders who survive decades aren't the ones who hit home runs. They're the ones who hit singles repeatedly without striking out. Chapter 11. The Fund Mindset. When you stop thinking like a gambler and start thinking like a fund manager, everything changes. Even with a small account, adopting institutional mindset transforms your trading from hobby to profession. Fund managers don't ask, will this trade win? They ask, if I make this trade 1,000 times, what happens? They don't celebrate individual wins or mourn individual losses. They evaluate quarters, years, decades. This long-term thinking seems impossible when you're checking your phone every 5 minutes, but it's the only perspective that survives. Here's a mental exercise that changed my trading. Imagine you're managing money for your grandmother, not aggressive growth for some stranger, but careful preservation and growth for someone you love. Would you revenge trade with grandma's retirement? Would you remove stop losses on her nest egg? Would you YOLO her savings on momentum plays? The way you trade for grandma is how you should trade for yourself. A clear written document describing exactly what they can and cannot do. I created my own trading mandate, one page, laminated, taped to my monitor. It states my allowable instruments, Forex and gold only. Maximum trades per day, 2. Maximum risk per trade, 1%. Maximum drawdown before stopping, 10%. No exceptions, no negotiations, no special situations. The fun mindset also means treating your trading like a business with departments. Risk management department says maximum 1% risk. Research department says only trade London and New York sessions. Execution department says follow the checklist every time. HR department says no trading when sick, tired, or emotional. Each department has veto power. If any says no, the trade doesn't happen. Funds also do something retail traders rarely do. Post-mortem analysis. Not just reviewing trades, but deep analysis of what went wrong and right. When I have a losing week, I don't just note the losses. I analyze whether they were system failures or execution failures. Were the losses expected within normal distribution? Was I following the process? Would I take the same trades again, knowing only what I knew then? A fund manager friend told me something profound. Retail traders are playing poker. They're trying to win hands. We're running a casino. We don't care about individual hands. We care about the edge playing out over millions of hands. The casino always wins, not because it's lucky, but because it has an edge and infinite patience. Your $100 account can run like $1 billion fund. Same principles, same discipline, same long-term thinking. The only difference is zeros. The habits you build with small money become the foundation for managing serious capital, whether your own or others. Start thinking beyond your next trade. Think about your next 100 trades, your next 1,000. What system survives that long? Drop Fund Manager below if you're ready to adopt this professional mindset. This shift in perspective is what separates career traders from weekend gamblers. Chapter 12, True Freedom, the Real Treasure. After everything, the blown accounts, the discipline, the small wins and painful losses, we arrive at a truth that might disappoint those seeking fortune. The real treasure of trading isn't money, it's freedom. Not the Instagram fantasy freedom of beaches and sports cars, but the deep, unshakable freedom that comes from mastering yourself. Think about what you've actually learned on this journey. You've learned to sit with discomfort when trades go against you. You've learned to take profits when greed whispers for more. You've learned to accept losses without taking them personally. You've learned to follow rules when every emotion screams to break them. These aren't just trading skills. They're life skills worth more than any profit. The freedom I'm talking about has layers. First, there's freedom from fear. Not the absence of fear, but the ability to act correctly despite it. When you can place a trade, set your stop, and walk away without checking every 30 seconds, you've achieved something 90% of humans never will. Control over anxiety. Then there's freedom from external validation. Most people need others to tell them they're successful. Traders can't afford this luxury. The market doesn't care about your ego. It delivers brutal, honest feedback every day. When you learn to evaluate yourself by process, not outcomes, you become immune to both criticism and praise. But the deepest freedom is internal. It's the quiet confidence that comes from surviving market storms. When you've watched your account drop 20% and didn't panic, when you've missed perfect trades and didn't chase, when you've followed your rules for months without exception, you've proven something profound. You can trust yourself. This self-trust extends beyond trading. The discipline that keeps position, sizes small, works for any risk in life. The patience that waits for perfect setups applies to career moves and relationships. The emotional control that prevents revenge trading prevents all kinds of destructive behavior. Trading is just the classroom. Life is where you apply the lessons. I remember the moment this clicked for me. I was sitting in a job interview, completely calm. Not because I didn't want the job, but because I knew I had options. My trading wasn't making me rich, but it was consistent. Small, boring profits month after month. The interviewer asked about salary expectations. The old me would have nervously lowballed. Instead, I stated my worth clearly. They said it was too high. I thanked them and left. 2 days later, they called back and met my number. That negotiation had nothing to do with charts or indicators, but everything to do with what trading taught me. Know your value, stick to your rules. Don't negotiate against yourself. Be willing to walk away. Some of you watching won't make it as traders. Statistically, most won't. But if you approach it correctly, even failure brings rewards. The self-knowledge, the discipline, the emotional control, these transfer to whatever you do next. The $100 you lose learning to trade might be the best investment in personal development you ever make. For those who do make it, who find consistent profitability, remember this. The money is just a score, not the game. The game is becoming the kind of person who can generate those returns. Disciplined, patient, emotionally stable, systematically consistent. That person succeeds at anything they attempt. Your voyage begins now. Now you've witnessed the complete voyage, 12 chapters from hope through disaster to wisdom. But watching someone else's journey means nothing unless you begin your own. So here's my challenge, and I want you to take this seriously. Not tomorrow, not when you're ready, but today. Open a small account, fund it with what you'd spend on a night out, and commit to 30 trades with iron discipline. Not 30 winning trades, just 30 trades following whatever rules you set for yourself. Document everything, not just entries and exits, but emotions and thoughts. What tempted you to break rules? What made you follow them? When did fear spike? When did greed whisper? This journal becomes your map through the psychological minefield of trading. Drop a comment below with just 2 words, your starting amount. Could be $50, 100 euros, 1,000 pesos. Doesn't matter how small. What matters is starting, making it real, converting dreams into data. And if you've already blown an account, if you're watching this thinking I already failed, drop round 2 in the comments. No shame in falling, only in not getting back up. Every professional trader has blown at least one account. It's tuition, not failure. For those ready to commit, here's your homework. Write 1 trading rule on paper right now. Just 1. Maybe maximum 2 trades daily, or always use stop loss or no trading after 9 p.m. Whatever rule you most need. Write it, sign it, date it. This is your contract with yourself. For the next week, your only job is following that 1 rule perfectly. Subscribe to this channel if you want to join a community that values discipline over drama, process over profit, growth over greed. We're not here to sell you signals or secret strategies. We're here to build traders who survive decades, not days. Share this video with one person who needs to hear it. Maybe someone chasing quick riches. Maybe someone who blew their account and gave up. Maybe someone curious about trading, but scared to start. Sometimes the push we need comes from unexpected places. Remember, the market doesn't care about your background, education, or circumstances. It only cares about your discipline. $100 managed with discipline beats $1 million managed with emotion, every single time. Your boat is waiting. The ocean is calling. You can spend another year watching videos, reading forums, paper trading and simulation, or you can put real skin in the game, however small, and start learning what only real money can teach. The traders making consistent returns aren't special. They're just disciplined. They're not smarter. They're just systematic. They're not lucky. They're just patient. And everything they have, you can build, starting with your next trade. Stop dreaming about the destination. Start rowing. The horizon you're seeking isn't profit. It's the person you become pursuing it. That person is worth more than any amount of money. See you on the water, Captain. See you in the storm. See you on the other side. Trading Psychology Stick, signing off. Now stop watching and start trading. Your journey begins with trade number 1.